A new image of 3I Atlas changes everything. It's the kind of view that wasn't supposed to surface, not this soon, not to the public, because what it shows, captured weeks ago and only now released, breaks every model we had. The frame reveals a massive blood-red coma made almost entirely of carbon dioxide. The data is unambiguous. 3I Atlas is venting CO2 at about 70 kilograms per second, comet-like output without comet-like behavior. So why did NASA wait to share it? Why hold back something so fundamental? Unless the object isn't what they thought, or worse, it is, and that's the problem. August 2025, SphereX, NASA's infrared telescope, starts a new observing run. Its target is 3I/Atlas at roughly 3.2 astronomical units from the Sun, near Jupiter's orbit. At that distance, most comets wake up. Icy surfaces warm, water sublimates, tails appear. But SphereX didn't see water. It saw carbon dioxide, a glowing, expanding coma roughly 348,000 kilometers across, nearly the Earth-to-Moon distance. This isn't a tail, it's a sphere, a CO2 shell engulfing the object and venting at 70 kilograms per second. Yet there's no ion trail, no water signature, just the coma. Here's the catch. Comets don't usually act like this. Around 3 astronomical units, CO2 activity is typically modest. Water drives the show, creating pressure and jets that carve tails along the solar wind. 3I Atlas ignores that script, emitting only CO2 in huge quantities. Spectra confirm water ice is present, mixed with organics, but it remains locked beneath the surface. Some scientists argue CO2 cools the exterior like a thermal blanket, delaying the warming needed for water to sublimate. Others think the water sits deeper under thick dust and ice, too far from sunlight to react. Even so, the explanations feel incomplete. The coma is too large, too symmetric, too steady. It doesn't look like chaotic outgassing. It looks structured. The silence, no water, no tail, only deepens the mystery. Comparisons to cold Kuiper Belt or Oort cloud comets don't quite fit. Those don't emit this much CO2 here, or this consistently. So what are we looking at? If the coma raised questions, the core blows the scale apart. When 3I Atlas was first spotted, Hubble suggested a nucleus under a kilometer, maybe 300 to 500 meters, akin to 2I/Borisov. Tiny, cold, predictable. SPHEREX data tells a different story. The near-infrared spectrum shows an unusually strong 1-micron reflected flux. Far too bright. Repeated modeling converged on the same answer, a nucleus possibly 46 kilometers across. 46, not just big, immense. That would make 3I Atlas over 1,000,000 times more massive than Borisov and larger than about 90% of known comets. Yet it stayed invisible until a few months ago. How? If the core is truly that large, we should have seen it earlier, tail or not, even drifting between stars. Its gravity should have perturbed background stars. A dusty coma should have lit the sky. But Hubble sees none of that. No extended dust, no ion trail, no explosive jets. Just a soft red halo and silence. So a second hypothesis emerged. Maybe we're not seeing the nucleus at all. Maybe over 99% of the brightness comes from microscopic particles in the coma reflecting sunlight. That would shrink the core back to familiar territory. But if that's true, where's the dust? Why no visible tail? Why is the coma smooth instead of jet-riddled? And the reflectivity curve doesn't match a chaotic swarm. It points to something smoother, more regular, almost controlled. Astronomers call it symmetric reflectivity, a pattern that hints at a consistent surface rather than one fractured by erosion and violent outgassing. So what exactly are we seeing? A vast icy body veiled in its own dust? A smaller core hidden inside a misleading cloud? Or something entirely different, an interstellar visitor with the geometry? A nucleus that shouldn't exist, wrapped in a silence that shouldn't persist. Yet here it is. The coma is too broad, the core seems too large, and the water is missing, though not entirely. Spectra show it's present, trapped within, mixed with CO2 and organics like a frozen memory, but it isn't escaping the way it should. In this part of the solar system, about 2.5 to 3.5 astronomical units from the Sun, water ice normally sublimates, boiling into vapor, throwing off jets and birthing a classic cometary tale. But 3I Atlas stays quiet. No water coma, no ion stream, only carbon dioxide leaking into space. Why? One idea is that CO2 is cooling the surface, keeping the water ice from warming. Another is that the water lies deeper, insulated beneath thick dust. Or perhaps the surface chemistry is simply different. Alien. Some models estimate just 4.5 kilograms of water vapor per second, roughly a tenth of what comparable comets release at this distance. It's as if 3I Atlas refuses to wake, or is concealing something beneath its crust. That's where the silence starts to feel suspicious. SphereX gathered the data in early August, but it reached the public much later. No press release, no headlines, just a quiet blog entry. Why? Some say caution, others protocol. A small but vocal minority asks sharper questions. We've seen this pattern before. When Oumuamua passed through in 2017, it behaved comet-like without visible gas, accelerated without propulsion, tumbled inexplicably, and vanished. Now 3I Atlas echoes that behavior, only bigger, brighter, closer. So is it just a peculiar comet? Coincidence? Most scientists still say yes, a natural object, an outlier but not an anomaly. Certainly not artificial. Others, like Harvard's Vibe, dissent. They point to symmetric reflectivity, an odd trajectory, a missing tail. To them, this may be more than a comet, a clue, perhaps not of life, but of technology. Something manufactured, not merely formed. Extreme? Maybe. But it takes only one object to upend everything. For now, 3I Atlas drifts sunward toward its moment of truth, and we wait. Whatever it is, it keeps defying expectations, a coma that shouldn't exist, a core too large, a silence that feels intentional. It was supposed to be a comet, a cold, harmless relic from another star. The closer we look, the stranger it becomes. Maybe that's why the image was delayed, the data buried, the discussion muted. Some things aren't ready to be explained, and others were never meant to be understood. We'll keep watching. The sky doesn't lie, and neither does the quiet between the stars. If you want to follow the story beneath the headlines, subscribe and leave a like to help it reach more eyes. To go deeper, become a member for early access, exclusive updates, and a front row seat to the things we were never meant to see. This is only the beginning.